Okay, I have 6:30 on my watch here, so I'll go ahead and call us to order. Ms. Branham, did we notify the media?
We did.
Okay, and I do declare that we have a quorum with 6 of 7 board members present. Mr. Carpenter is not able to join us tonight because of the passing of his sister, Miss Sylvia Pulley. And if you would indulge me, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember her and just pray for Mr. Carpenter. Thank you. And if you would, just please keep Mr. Carpenter and his family in your prayers. To move forward, we do need approval of our agenda.
I'll make the motion that we approve our agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you, thank you. Is there any discussion or questions? All those that will approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The agenda is approved. I do welcome everyone here tonight. I'm glad to see that we have a lot of faces in the audience. And if you would, I'm going to ask Coach Dawkins to introduce the Sanders student that will lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, ma'am. So we will have Ms. Chloe Robel lead us in our pledge.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, if Mr. Chip Jenkins, if you would say the prayer for us.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity that you've granted to us to gather here to deal with the business of District 55. I pray that your Holy Spirit will give us wisdom and understanding. Also want to pray just a special prayer for Mr. Carpenter and his family. I just pray that in the gathering of their family that they can find comfort in each other and find comfort in you. We love you and thank you for Jesus, whose name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Now we will need approval for our minutes for our January 27th work session and board meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for January the 27th, 25 work session and school board meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there any discussion or comments? All those in favor of approving the minutes for January 27th work session and board meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Now we will move to our Sanders Middle School report with Mr. Josh Dawkins.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good evening.
evening.
First, I'm going to have Ms. Wormley come up. Okay.
We'll need to swap PowerPoint slides. Oh, this is, okay.
All right, that's it.
You have a clicker?
So, this is Ms. Sharon Wormley. She teaches our SPED department students here at Sanders Middle School, but she is also Lawrence District 55 Teacher of the Year. So please give it up for Ms. Wormley.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you to Dr. Penland and to the school board for the opportunity to speak tonight. As Teacher of the Year, a platform that's near and dear to my heart is giving everyone a voice. This poem represents the voice of every student in L55. 180 days I sit in your classroom, but how much do you know about me? Do you know me beyond what your natural eyes see? When you're preparing lesson plans, do you only think about the standards to help me pass the big test? Or do you think about the methods to help me learn best? I know your teachers think you're so smart, but we know you talk about us when we're not around. Treat me like I matter, because it's not my fault I live on that side of town.
All right.
If I speak to my friends in Spanish, please don't label me as disrespectful. or think I must be talking about you. I'm speaking in a language that's comfortable to me. When you're with your friends, isn't that what you do? I appreciate you teaching me the language because I want to improve my English when I write and when I speak. But as you teach me, please don't rob me of what makes me unique. We are from Mexico, Guatemala, and many other places. We are not the same. Even if it's hard for you, care enough about me to learn how to say my name. Box braids, sew-ins, blowouts, natural puffs, twist outs, locks. Yes, my hair is a part of my culture, a big part of what makes me, me. But don't you dare judge me by what you see. I wouldn't dare ask you to be colorblind. I want you to see the cocoa, pecan tan, milk chocolate, red bone, caramel, dark chocolate, and everything in between. I'm proud of my ancestors, beautiful and resilient kings and queens. Please don't call me lazy just because I don't raise my hand. Sometimes I need extra time to think, and I don't want people to laugh at me when I don't understand. Yes, my disability matters, so you know what I know and how to teach me. But please don't put a label on me. I am not my IEP. Well, I'm glad for the opportunity to speak my mind, because people don't think about diversity when it comes to people who look like me. My skin may be white, but there's more to me too than what you see. I am unique. I am different. I am diverse. I am me.
Very good.
Thank you, Ms. Wormley. And now to, that's a hard thing to follow, but now we are going to show the Sanders Middle School video. This video was produced by our student body president, Ms. Chloe Robel, and our student body vice president, Ms. Brittany Lopez. So please stay tuned and enjoy the video for Sanders Middle School. This year in Lawrence History 55, we
environment that is fun to be in, but also make it so that we are learning efficiently and in a way that makes sense for all students.
Y todas las preguntas que yo tengo ellos responden y siempre me ayudan y me apoyan. Y luego mi experiencia aquí, ¿entiendes? Muy buena de los 3 años que he estado aquí, como no hay otra experiencia, creo que los amigos que he hecho me han ayudado. Y creo que me divierto todos los días como una nueva aventura.
Thank you to Dr. Pillin and our school board for everything that you do for Sanders Middle School. Thank you to our staff and students for coming in and day out, holding each other accountable, and giving it your all. And here, our motto at Sanders is,
Stay focused, model honesty.
show respect, wear yellow jackets. Thank you. Thank you all, and that's Sanders' report. Do we have any questions or concerns? All right. Thank y'all so much.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach Dawkins, and thank you, Ms. Wormley, for that poem. That was amazing. I wasn't able to, I understand you read it at the opening convocation this year, and I was not able to be there, so I'm glad I got to hear that tonight. Thank you. Dr. Finland, I'll turn it over to you.
So again, I want to thank Ms. Wormley for sharing. She's been a great asset this year as she has taken on the mantle of being our Teacher of the Year and also has served extremely well for that. So thank you again for coming and sharing with us tonight. So in my superintendent's report, I thought somebody else would have already stolen my thunder, but we're going to tell you something good. We were at the school board conference this weekend, and one of our presenters talked about and kept saying, "Tell me something good." And I couldn't get that little song out of my head for the weekend. And I actually had an audio clip, but it didn't transfer. So we're going to talk about some good stuff. So some academic highlights I want to share with you. We had some VFW.
Wait, you have to stop. Now we all have to tell you something good
I'll
now.
have to tell me something good. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
All right, I'll let Tabitha start. Yes, that is great. Yes.
My turn?
Yeah.
I'm just so thankful for the dedication of our teachers. I put on this board, and I try to do my role, but I just know that y'all are the front line and just incredible individuals. Thank you for your hard work and time.
I absolutely echo what Mr. Jenkins has said, and for me, from the day that I've had my Tell Me Something Good is that I got to hear your poem, Ms. Wormley, because it just really touched me, and I appreciate you sharing again. So.
I'll have to say that the encouragement that I receive daily through different people and text messages and constant reminders of I'm here because God has placed me here has definitely been very uplifting today and every day. So that's my something good today.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to be part of the school board, but I want to tell you this. I celebrated my 73rd birthday, so I am aging gracefully.
Fantastic.
And that is something good.
Happy birthday, Ms. Nance.
I think something that we should all be thankful for is, the Lord woke us all up this morning and was able to give us the ability to, go to the school and teach and share information with the wonderful students that we have in this district.
All right, Mr. Hughes.
6:44 and we halfway through the agenda. That's good.
I fully expected you to say something about your grandbabies.
I had them all weekend. I don't want to talk about them right now. I ain't slept in 2 days, so if I nod off.
Okay, sorry for the interruption.
Thank you. So
That's all right.
some of the district updates that I would like to share today are some academic highlights. Again, the VFW winners, we had 2 teachers. Our elementary school category winner was Miss Tammy Wakefield, and our middle school winner for the teacher was Hunter Norris. In those categories, we had a 2nd and 3rd place from Greycourt Owens that were the Patriots Pen Essay Contest winners. And Sabrina, and my eyes are not that good. But you can't see it on that side either. Jasmine, is that correct? Something like that. But sorry for not being able to read that far. But those are the winners. Also would like to congratulate Hickory Tavern academic team. They are now headed to state for being the middle school winner for the WEPAC regional academic team. So very much proud of them, and as they advance and will compete in March 7th at Lander University against the other state qualifiers. And so we wish them the best of luck, and we'll be rooting them on. Also want to talk about our student art display. If you didn't get a chance to see it yesterday or today, that was a great showing of some amazing artwork that our students had put on display and they housed it at the Martha Franks Historic Villa. I was able to go over yesterday and see that, and it was just the amount of work that our kids put into that, but also our fine arts teachers. They did some amazing work, and one of our very own was commissioned to do art piece for the rendition of the villa for their 40th anniversary. Also want to kind of promote our STEAM on the Square event. It'll be a free event on April 5th, downtown Lawrence, and we'll be on the square. So that'll be April 5th from 9 to 3. We'll have several different opportunities, and we'll be partnering with the City of Lawrence, First Steps, Lawrence County Chamber, and the County of Lawrence. So we're really looking forward to that. Looking at fine arts and also STEM activities will be on the square. We had an amazing Black History Month opportunities for at Sanders, EB, Gray Court, and Hickory Tavern, where they had that. Well, actually, Gray Court's is this week, and EB was actually on the news with Fox Carolina. Yes, Fox Carolina covered their event, and so amazing opportunities and kind of showing there for Ms. Morrison actually was the guest speaker at EB Morris. We are now celebrating this week is Happy Montessori Week, so we're actually be kicking off some activities this week to celebrate the work and the opportunities that we have inside the district for Montessori, and we'll be sharing those throughout the week on Facebook. We have been doing some instructional walkthroughs and seeing some great things as we've kind of gone through led by Ms. Wendy Burgess and her instructional team, going out and kind of inspecting what we expect, and we have been seeing some amazing work and some amazing things with our fabulous teachers. You know, there's times that you find things that we need to address with schools and teachers, and also with our admin, so we'll just kind of share what we saw for areas of growth. Also, we had some amazing professional development on February 17th, headed up by Ms. Amanda Lackrose and Ms. Wendy Burgess and her team, as we were able to provide that as an instructional professional development date. We have another one coming up on March 17th, where we'll be able to provide additional training for our teachers. Some athletic highlights. So we're still talking about something good. So we had archery from Gray Court that's headed to state. We have a middle school and an elementary kind of competition there that will be going to compete at the state championship at the state fairgrounds, and that'll be coming up next week, or is it later this week? I think it is, end of February. Tomorrow and Thursday. That's great. Yes. So we're very proud of our wrestling team at the high school. As a team, they qualified for state, ended up state runners-up, but they were an amazing group of kids and had some great things there. But then they also qualified individually the following week. We had 11 qualifiers to make it to state. They went as the top 8 of each one of their weight divisions. So to qualify 11 kids to state was amazing for our team. And then we had one state champion, Dakota McCall, won Saturday in his weight class. We had one first place, 2 second places, and a couple of fourth places out of those 11 that went to state. So it was very honored to be able to watch them wrestle for the past couple of weeks, and then come out with a state champion and a state runner-up as a team. We're also very proud of Coach Lawson Jordan, who is the head coach of our wrestling team. He was named Region 1 4A Wrestling Coach of the Year, and very proud of all the successes that he's had and everything he's led the group through this year. Early childhood registration If you missed that last month, you can still register at your child's school zone. Please do so as early as possible so that we'll have accurate numbers as we plan for next year. Inclement weather makeup day, we are still waiting on legislation to go through the House. If it continues on, we'll make a decision at the end of next month, at the next month's board meeting, if we have to utilize a makeup day or if the state allows us to do it in a different way, throughout a waiver or an additional way to make it up. All right, as part of the building the culture of excellence, the teachers, I sent out this email, or it was sent out for me. If you can't beat the winter blues, join them. So they had a month of blue jeans, so they're almost out of blue jean days. But it was very much just my way to say thank you for all they do each and every day. It's amazing to be able to just know you can wake up and put on blue jeans. Some days, we've had some very, very cold days in the month of February, but also some rainy days. And it's nice just to throw on those jeans and come on into work and get the work done, because what we do in the buildings each and every day is hard work. And so anything that we can do to help our teachers as we continue to grow and develop our five-star culture of excellence in our classrooms. And I'll end with this. We had a HBCU event, recruitment and resource event at the high school last week, and I have heard rave reviews about it. And as Carlos gets ready to share from the student services side, I just want to take this time to thank him for everything he did to make that a successful event. And I'm sure he'll share some of the highlights of that, having kids be able to sign and get accepted to college on site, and that event was amazing too. So thank you again for all you do, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Philcott.
All right. Only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it, forced upon me, can't refuse it, didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it, for I must suffer if I lose it, give an account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to take just a couple of minutes. That poem is credited to Dr. Benjamin E. Mays. It's called God's Minute. If you all would indulge me for the next maybe 3 to 5 minutes, I will try my best to get through talking about the Student Services Department. First and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Penland for this opportunity. I want to thank you for the confidence, having enough confidence in me to occupy the role that you previously had. I will say that the luster and aura of my newness wore off within 2 weeks. Be back. So the purpose, in our opinion, of the Student Services Department is to lead with the mantra that students are first. The Student Services Department is to assist providing students with meaningful access and educational experiences that will prepare them for post-secondary institutions, the military, or the workforce. It systematically, and I say that sincerely, aligns initiatives, resources, services, and supports that not only focus on students' academic achievement, but their overall well-being. And I say that sincerely from the standpoint that I've had parents in my office as early as, 7:15, 7:30, talking about what we can do to collectively make sure their students get the opportunity, get the access to either graduate, go to work, or go to the military. I have a phenomenal group of individuals that I work with. I will say that between Ms. Manley, Ms. Patterson, Ms. Colley, and Ms. Miller, those ladies are phenomenal. They have helped me make a smooth transition. Also, with the student support teams that we work with, this group, hands down, is by far some of the best group of individuals that I've worked with in my 24-year career. With the attendance clerks, the career development facilitators, the mental health counselors, the nurses, and the school counselors. That's an eclectic, interesting group of individuals. We meet monthly. We decided to change up a few things, and I wanted to touch base with each group on a monthly basis just to kind of check in, see how they're doing, see what they need. So with the school counselors, we meet on the first Tuesday of each month. The career development facilitators, we meet on the second Tuesday of each month. Mental health counselors, first Wednesday of each month. Nurses, first Wednesday of each month at 2 o'clock. And then the attendance clerks, we meet on the last Thursday of each month. And again, the entire focus of each meeting is to focus on what we can do from a student services standpoint to ensure that we provide the resources that they need so they can disseminate that information to the students and families. And I will say each meeting has been very spirited, regardless of the group that we've worked with. Each meeting has been very spirited, very focused, very student-centered. We assist with the following activities. Again, we meet monthly, so we do a lot of PD with each group. We try our best to make sure that we have a community resource in the meeting to talk with each group about the resources, the connections, the services that they offer. We also assist with the student registration process. We work with the JED Foundation, which focuses on improving students' mental health. We work with the behavior threat assessment and management teams. We had our first official meeting with representatives, including one of our former board members. We had the BTAM meeting October 29th. We also deal with some spirited and sometimes festive expulsion hearings. They're very, very interesting. That's all I can say about it. It's very interesting. It's just, you all wouldn't believe some of the things that we've seen, heard, and had to stop. We also deal with truancy meetings. Again, those meetings can be very spirited and interesting as well. We also work closely with the McKinney-Vento students. We've got students that we work with, students and families that we work with. Some of them are as far away as downtown Spartanburg. We've got some in Clinton. They're I would say strategically, but somewhat strategically placed throughout the upstate, and we've tried our best to make sure that we can accommodate everybody's needs. Of course, we're all familiar with the hurricane that just recently passed. Unfortunately, a lot of our students' families were displaced, and so we are actively trying to make sure that their needs are met, whether it's from a clothes standpoint, a food standpoint, a transportation standpoint. We've tried our best. We've done our best that we could to make sure that they have access and the resources that they need. And as Dr. Penland alluded to a few minutes ago, we did have our inaugural HBC recruitment and resource event. We had exactly 13 students to be accepted on the spot, 7 to South Carolina State, 6 to Benedict College. And so we were proud about that because, again, the whole point was to make sure that they have exposure and access to the resources out there. I appreciate the guidance counselors because they were actively, as the students were talking to the colleges, they were actively printing transcripts. So that was phenomenal for them, for those students, because not only did some get accepted on the spot, but some were offered scholarships on the spot as well. So that was great. It started out, I will say this, it started out as a very, very astute, keen recruitment event, and then as the hours went by, it ended up turning into a party. And we had music, and I will say the fourth lunch by far was the most spirited lunch. We actually had to make the children go back to class because they had a lot of fun. And so I was very appreciative of all the community organizations that came in. I appreciate the South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce, as well as Pragma Healthcare and Geneva's Catering. Those were the event sponsors. And I appreciate Ms. Colley for spearheading securing those resources because we didn't have to spend a dime. We didn't have to spend a dime. And so we were very, very grateful that this opportunity presented itself. And Ms. Colley, again, kudos to you. Thank you for your assistance with this event. I will say all in all, the Student Services Department, we are actively working. Each group does a really good job. They've done a yeoman's job to make sure the students and families' needs are met. At this particular point, we'll take questions, and I'll try my best to answer them. Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Littlejohn. And we know all about spirited meetings. So, Dr. Penland, I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, so we'll now have Sowers representative come up and share information that you would like to share with the board. We did discuss this last time, and you have in your packet the information that we had from last time with the pictures and the memorandum.
Great. Mr. Superintendent, members of the board, my name is Len Forkas. I'm the founder and owner of Milestone Towers. We have several partnerships throughout the East Coast. We're based in Washington, D.C., and some of the partnerships include Charleston Schools, Richland Schools, Greenville, Kershaw, and Pickens in South Carolina. We're here today to request consent to move forward to propose a communication tower at the middle school location, particularly because across the street from the school, there's an existing water tank that's being decommissioned. And on that water tank are two wireless carriers, T-Mobile and AT&T. And when that tank comes down, service will be disrupted in the school community. And so our proposal is to grant consent from the school board to be able to apply for an application to build a new structure that would allow for the service to continue. We're working very closely with the city, who are now going through a zoning ordinance amendment, and we're watching that very carefully as they go about determining the proper zoning and proper locations where facilities could go. So we're still waiting to see exactly what process they go through. But I started the company 25 years ago. We've built hundreds of sites in partnerships with schools and municipalities, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you for being here tonight. The first question that I have is, there was communication that came out from City Council that they too are looking with another cell tower company to put a tower within the city as well. Do you know anything about that, and do you have any requirements on how close you would put your cell tower to another one?
Well, we were approached by both AT&T and T-Mobile, whose service will be disrupted. We've got long-term relationships with them to be able to ensure that their network continues to operate. So at this juncture, our goal is to take the lead from our customers, but obviously there may be other options. But right now, the location, absent relocating the tower where the tank is right now, which I don't believe is under consideration, the closest possible location would be the middle school.
Okay.
Other questions you'll have? Yeah, I don't know what I don't know. I guess the other question I have, what other competitors are in the area that you compete business with?
Well, there's obviously, there's no shortage of companies that build cell towers, but we specialize and focus on municipal and school relationships.
Okay.
And that's why we've had such great success in the Carolinas. We have contracts, long-term contracts with Greenville County government, Greenville County schools, Pickens schools, Richland 2, Charleston County schools, Charleston County government, as well as Kershaw County. So we're probably the most prolific developers in terms of building facilities in partnerships with municipalities and schools to ensure that we take into consideration the long-term use of the campus, make sure that we have the flexibility to select locations that will be harmonious with the operation of the school. And also, we have a really long, 25 years of relationships in maintaining the assets as well. And so it's kind of our niche. It's kind of what we do. I mean, there's lots of companies that can build a cell tower, but we're really good at managing a program that will allow for it to be sustainable, and also very transparent with the community as to what it's going to look like, where it will go. We're very transparent in terms of identifying photo simulations. We put that information on a website. We make sure people in the community are aware of it well in advance of any town hall or public meetings. Our approach has always been to be able to share transparently everything we're proposing, get as much feedback as we can, so that as we go through the process, it's a very reciprocal process with the community and with the school board and elected officials.
And I assume you'll have offices in South Carolina?
We're based in Northern Virginia, but we operate in 9 states from that location.
Okay. So y'all don't have an office in South Carolina, North Virginia?
We're in Northern Virginia, yes, sir.
What's the biggest pushback that you've gotten from community when you've tried to install a cell tower?
Well, I think really every site is different in that you have to look at the context of the location and where it's placed. Oftentimes, the view shed is really important because people want to make sure that it's buffered in a way it's located at distances where the visual impact will be mitigated. So every site has its own unique circumstances with respect to the location and its height and its design style. There's always the issue associated with radio energy from the antennas. There's radio energy today from the water tank. But what we do is we monitor it every year and provide a report to our school partners so they can see precisely how the radio energy from our sites is measured against the federal standards. So we do that every year for all of our school partners so that we can demonstrate that we are well in compliance with all the standards that are established. And if those standards change, we're required to make sure that we comply with them as well.
Okay.
Go ahead. I was going to say, again, Mike, I know this is it's an initially 5-year contract with re-extension.
Well, the intent, our customers want to be able to stay on the tower for at least 20 years or longer. They make a very strong capital investment of usually $500,000 per tenant to install their equipment. So we want to make sure we put it in a location that's not going to be short-term, long-term. But after 10 years, if the tower needs to be relocated, if you need the property for another purpose, we'll pay to move it after 10 years. So we're not handcuffing you forever to that location. But we do want to look very closely at your long-term plans to make sure that we've picked a good location that won't be in the way.
If you do relocate, how much is left? Do you put the property back like it was?
Yes, sir. And the idea would be we'd work together to try to find a location somewhere else on the campus where it would make sense if indeed that location were required for future development.
You had mentioned town hall meetings. Is there something that would go beyond an approval of the board that you would continue to have discussions around here? Or is this the kind of the open forum?
No, absolutely not. No, this is just the first step in the process. So if we were to be granted consent to apply for it, once the city goes through their process of determining exactly what the ordinance will look like, then we'll take a look at it and determine the best next steps. Once we have that, and we have a plan and a path with the city planners and the planning department, we would then propose effectively build a website, work with your team to make sure everyone in the school community receive notices. We usually draw a radius around the site that includes hundreds of locations of residences. We mail letters and cards to them to show them where to find the information on the internet so they can see exactly what we're proposing, what it's going to look like, why it's needed. And then we would then, after that communication is sent out to the school community, sent out to the neighborhood, we would then schedule a town hall meeting for input and provide opportunities to answer questions that people may have with respect to what we're proposing.
Is there a fee that that you will be paying us for the site? Is there?
Yeah, there would be no cost to you. Effectively, we would effectively share 40% of the revenue, of the gross revenue that we receive from our customers. And when we construct the tower, we would pay $25,000 to the schools in order to be able to compensate you for the costs that you incurred for our legal review of our plans, construction disruption, and so forth, so that you'd be whole with respect to those costs. And then, well, right now we have 2 carriers that want to be on the site, that desperately need to be on the site, and we think there's opportunity for Verizon and potentially Dish Networks to also locate on the tower. So our success is your success when we're successful at being able to plan for and accommodate other wireless companies.
How long does it take to build a tower this size? Once you break ground, how long?
Yeah, less than 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and that includes all the site work as well as all the final punch out. And we would make sure we choreograph the construction with the use of the school, so we're not disruptive for sports or any other uses. So we would make sure that we fit into the schedule for the operation of the fields.
Ready to get done when there's no students during the summer.
Yeah, summer and winter.
When is the water tower going down?
I believe it's slated to be decommissioned in 2026.
Oh, we got time.
Yeah.
The city ordinances that you mentioned, is there currently a city ordinance regarding cell towers?
Yes, there are, and in fact, the city council on the 18th of this month, just last week, reviewed the new ordinance. They wanted to expand the ordinance to make it more inclusive and to make it more clear as to where these types of structures, as well as other issues that they wanted to address. They've remanded it back to the Planning Commission on March 11th, and then once the Planning Commission completes their review, then they'll forward it back to the council for a vote, we believe, in April. So we're assuming that the city will go through its process, you know, in the next several months, and then we'll have some direction.
Okay. Any other questions for anyone? Thank you.
Very good. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Very nice to meet you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming tonight. Now we will move to Mr. Lawless for our financial report.
Good evening.
Are you dead?
Everyone should have received a copy of the financial report for January of 2025. Our balance with the treasurer's office as of the end of January was $11,700,004. Fiscal year-to-date revenues for the general fund for those 7 months were $37,532,302, with expenditures for that same period of $31,280,024, for a difference of $6,252,278, with tax collections for the month of January at $6,503,650. Does anyone have any questions about the monthly financial report? Okay. With your permission, I would like to skip ahead to the report on the lead board of directors before we bring Matt up to discuss the audit report. Is that okay to rearrange the agenda? Okay. The lead board of directors held their annual meeting on February the 13th. The Lawrence Education Assistance for District 55, or LEAD Corporation, is a 501c3 organization developed in 2005 to finance various renovations, energy management upgrades, and capital projects, as well as to refinance higher interest rate loans. The original LEAD debt was $39,465,000. As of June 30th, 2024, the balance was $16,915,000, and that debt is scheduled to be paid off by 2030. In other business, the LEAD board elected their officers. Jim Todd is the chairman and president. Ernie Seegers will serve as vice chairman and vice president. Wilhelmina Jones will serve as secretary and treasurer. And Patrick Casey will serve as the fourth member of the executive committee. Those four, plus Blake Davis, make up the 5-member board for the LEAD Corporation. I know that on our agenda tonight it included board officers or director appointments. However, there were no director terms set to expire in 2025. So there are no board candidates to present tonight. Their next meeting will be held in February of 2026. At that point, they would bring forth candidates for this board to approve before the following June.
You got to start over.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
My man. If anybody missed that because the mic wasn't working, sorry.
You're good.
I think I talked loud enough for the board.
We'll post your cell number at the end of the meeting.
Don't start over.
I will not. Are there any questions from the board on the LEAD Corporation or its board? All right, well, doubling back then to the audit report, I'll turn it over to Matt Phillips. Matt and his team completed the audit of our 23-24 financials, and he is here to go over it with you.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, board, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Won't take up too much of your time, Mike. Decided to do something a little bit different this year. We're going to do these slides. The whole 130-page booklet's down there. I know you're going to read it later, so you can get that from Jim. But just going to run through this real quick. If there's any questions, please let me know. We really appreciate the staff, all their hard work. We come in, ask a lot of questions in a short amount of time, a lot of information. So we really appreciate them getting us all the information. Just again, thank you to them. All right, so again, just starting here, financial audit presentation. It's going to start with the independent auditor's report. This is the report that we issue to 55. Details management's responsibility, which is the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements. Also includes the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control relevant to the preparation of the financial statements. The responsibility of the auditor is to express an opinion on the financial statements based on an audit. We conduct our audit in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and government auditing standards. And we obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from material misstatement. We do offer an opinion on the financial statements, and we issued an unmodified opinion, a clean opinion that is the best opinion that the district can receive. And it states that the district's financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. Just moving on to the numbers within the audit, again, just very summarized here, but we have our government-wide financial statements. So we have our statement of net position, total assets $70.1 million, broken up into capital assets of $42.1 million, and then cash and current assets of $28 million. Deferred outflows related to small deferred charge, and then items related to net pension liability and OPEB of $23.3 million. Total liabilities of $144.7 million. The majority of that is your $71.4 million net pension liability and your $47.4 million OPEB liability. Deferred outflows are strictly related to those two items I just mentioned, net pension liability and OPEB liability. Net pension is a negative 83 million, excuse me. Right below that, I think, is being covered up by the cover there. But without the 83, without the net pension liability and the OPEB liability, we actually have a positive net position of 44.3 million. So again, the net pension liability and the OPEB liability, under governmental accounting standards, we are required to put those onto your book, but that's your for the net pension liability, especially that's your unfunded portion of retirement. We receive that information from PEPA, and I have a slide on that a little later. Statement of activities under your government-wide financial statements, total revenue for the year, $84.7 million, total expenses, $80.2 million, so we had an increase in net position of approximately $4.5 million. Governmental fund balance, total fund balance decreased $1.7 million to $20.8 million at year end. Of that, $14.2 million is restricted, and so the unassigned fund balance, $6.5 million, and that is 7.5% of 2024 actual expenditures. Governmental fund revenues and expenditures, just a little bit of detail on those. Total revenues for the year, $84.8 million. That's a $213,000 decrease from 2023. Again, small decrease there due to decrease in local and state revenues. $714,000 over budget for the general fund. Total expenditures, $86.8 million, excuse me. $82.1 million of that current operations, $1.4 million capital outlay, and $3.3 million debt service. $3.9 million, 5% increase from 2023 due to increase in support service and expenditures, and then $3.8 million over budget for the general fund, primarily due to instructor and support services expenditures. Other significant items, again, as I mentioned before, net pension liability and OPEB liability, GASB 68 and 71. Net pension liability for 2024 is approximately $71.4 million. Net OPEB liability for 2024 is approximately $47.4 million. This represents the unfunded portion of pension benefits and OPEB owed to the members and other post-employment benefits. Liabilities are determined by PEPA and provided to the district. Any questions?
I'm not an accountant, so you got a lot of numbers out there.
Yes, sir.
For us lay accountants out there, just curious, I know you put your opinion that just, everything good?
Yes, sir.
We all signed
Yes, sir.
all the same?
Yes, sir.
That was my question.
Fairly stated. I'm not going to say something's not off by $1, but you know.
So I just want people here and for us to know that the balance sheet looks good.
Yes, sir. So we have a clean opinion. The financial statements are fairly stated. Yes, sir.
So after all that, we're good.
Yes, sir.
That's all I can.
That's it. Yeah, I can just say that next time.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Have a great meeting. Thank you.
Dr. Penland?
All right.
So we'll now swap over to our Lawrence Learns. I will be asking Ms. Amanda Lacrose and Ms. Kelsey Brown to come up to share with this. But, you know, we were hit last week with a very hard blow. It was something that we were, you know, not anticipating, and we did lose our Lawrence Learns grant, the one that we have been talking about for the past couple of years. That was the $13.5 million allocation to kind of change and drive our instruction, to change our, you know, structure. And we're just going to kind of give you an update of where we are, what we've been doing, how it has changed our system, and we'll just kind of come back in a few minutes to kind of talk about what this means for us and where we would like to head.
All right. I'm going to do a quick overview so you understand what happened, why it happened, that kind of thing. So first off, it was last Tuesday, early Tuesday morning, we received an email from the U.S. Department of Ed, and it was a grant award termination letter effective immediately. This was a 3-year award that we were given. We are about halfway through that 3-year award, so we're 18 months into what should have been a 3-year award. The reason that was given in the letter was that it was determined that our grant provided funding for programs that promote or take part in DEI initiatives or other initiatives that unlawfully discriminate on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, or another protected characteristic. I want to go on record that is 100% not true. That also could have been because it conflicted with the department's policy of prioritizing merit, fairness, and excellence in education. And we're going to actually talk to you about how our program actually does those things. So, or otherwise fall to serve the best interests of the United States. So that's what was stated in the letter. We have 30 days, calendar days, to object or to challenge this termination. We do plan to do so. By the end of this week, we have contacted a number of our representatives up at Washington. We happen to be up there next week because it was already paid for. And we have the opportunity to drop our challenge off to some of our representatives so they can help champion our cause if they see fit. All funding for Learns that was coming from this grant has been terminated effective immediately. We can challenge. We don't know how long it will take for that challenge to be reviewed or when we would get a response back. But really the funding major impacts are our master teachers, salaries, benefits, stipends, our teaching specialist stipends, our NIET coaching support, which we have terminated that agreement at this time, and then performance-based compensation for our teachers and things like that. So you have heard me talk about Learns quite a bit on and off over the past year, so I thought I would bring one of our master teachers. Kelsey Brown is not just a master teacher, but she actually is also an NIET fellow. That is something she had to apply for. There were over 200 people that were applying for that, and I believe there's a total of how many, Kelsey? 12. 12 out of 200 people across the country. She was chosen as one of them. So she knows much better the inner workings of what she does and her fellow master teachers do. So she's going to tell you a little bit about that so that you have a better understanding of what impact this will have on what we've been doing so far this year. So.
In your packet also is a copy of this PowerPoint and some information that she may be referring to, or if you have questions we can dig into in a few minutes also.
Thank you, board members, for your time and commitment to student success. I'm here today to address an urgent matter regarding our ability to maintain our continued collective commitment to student success and speak on behalf of my fellow master teachers. I became involved with NIET as an instructional coach through a partnership with an NIET specialist in the 2023-2024 school year. This collaboration provided valuable insights into strengths-based coaching, enabling me to support teachers by building on their existing skills and fostering professional growth. Through this experience, I worked closely with teachers at Ford Elementary School to develop a structured approach for deeply internalizing instructional material
and implementing them effectively in the classrooms. Additionally, I played a key role in working with the instructional leadership team, or referred to as ILT sometimes, to analyze classroom observations and walk through data, ensuring that instructional improvements were being strategic and sustainable. In February of last year, I was given the opportunity to attend the NIET conference alongside other instructional leaders in our district, where I gained a greater insight into those processes and structures. After the conference, our district team came together. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that we were very energized and inspired, and we were excited to align our new learning with our district's priorities. We developed a clear plan to enhance instructional quality, close achievement gaps, and strengthen teacher retention, and these are critical components of our district's strategic plan. Over the summer, our district leaders dedicated extensive time to planning and preparing for the implementation of this new structure. Our school's collaboration to analyze data and develop individualized school plans, strategically examining assessment results to set targeted goals within each grade level band for our students. Our focus was to increase the number of students achieving proficiency on the state assessment by identifying key areas for growth and aligning instructional strategies to address them. Coming into the 24-25 school year, we had a clear vision about what our roles and responsibilities were going to be within this grant. Master teachers are holding weekly cluster meetings designed to build teacher capacity instructionally and implement the SC Teaching Standards 4.0 rubric, which provides a common language for educators and provides relevant feedback necessary to build effective leaders and college and career-ready students. The work that we conduct in our weekly meetings is thoughtfully planned out based on teacher observations and evidence found in the classrooms, with the guiding question always being, how will this impact student learning?
Okay, you'll notice that I just advanced the slide there, and our master teachers currently are involved in providing observations along with our administrators, and then providing feedback to our teachers, coaching them on how they can grow and how they can move forward in being more effective in the classroom. This is an example of one of our teachers in the district in cycle 1, which is the first 3 months of this school year. Their observation was about a 1.86. Our goal is a 3. After just 3 months of coaching from the master teachers within this building, by the second cycle, only 3 months later, they were already at a 2.53. So you can see that their impact is definitely positive, and it is making a difference just in a short period of time.
Is this at Ford?
Pardon?
Is this process, is this at Ford?
This
This
is
is
happening
across
at
the
every
district.
Across the
school.
This is
district,
every school
okay.
throughout the district, yes.
So inside of your folder, there's going to be a few artifacts that I'll just refer to as I'm going through this next part. The instructional leadership team, including master teachers, created a long-range plan. I believe that's this first document, so this is just an example of Hickory Tavern's long-range plan. So you can kind of see each cycle goal and all the data that we use to develop each of those weekly meetings, meeting outcomes, and exactly what we wanted teachers to be able to do at the end of the meeting. In cluster, we also meet faithfully with teachers each week to analyze student work for the purpose of making informed instructional decisions. So if you look at the next two artifacts, you'll see a cluster meeting agenda. So each week, teachers get one of these agendas. It tells them exactly what we're going to be discussing that week. We refer to our school goal each week. Every week, we touch base with our school goals so that we can talk about where we are at in advancing towards meeting that goal. We have an identified need each week. For this particular agenda, we were doing a student work analysis. So if you look on the next page, you'll see that this was in an 8th grade science classroom. So we had the teacher to actually do like an item analysis of each one of the questions. We broke down each student. We pulled out the specific skills that the students were going to need to be able to do to master that standard. And then she went through and did a yes or no, and then we made instructional next steps based on that analysis, and just created more informed groupings based on that. And then we create grouping structures that support necessary differentiation. So you can just kind of see an example. This is one of our data boards that we do. I think most schools have done this. Some have a data wall. our teachers have a folder, but this is for second grade specifically, so we've created one so that the ILT can actually physically move kids, and we can look at those students' names each week when we meet, so we know exactly what students we're talking about. So this process allows us to continuously reflect on and evaluate our current instructional practices. As a result of this structured support, we've seen measurable improvements in student learning, particularly in areas like small group instruction, data-driven teaching, and literacy and math skills. Sorry, one more thing in the folder that I didn't touch on was you'll see an example of readiness groups. So we administered a grade level spelling assessment, and then based on that assessment, we created groupings and developed the grouping and decided which teachers were going to be pulling which students based on the results of those. And then you can also see an example of what our follow-up support looks like. These are the follow-up support cards. So each week when we meet with teachers, every teacher gets follow-up support. So that can be meeting with us. We can come in and model a lesson for those teachers. We can come in and watch them and give them feedback. We can team teach a lesson. So that's just some of the things that go into weekly clusters.
So the
Ms.
slide that
Brown,
Yep, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. Can you walk through just quickly the board and how the sticky notes move and what the colors mean? I
Yeah.
had the privilege of hearing
Yes.
Ms. Penland explain this to me at Ford one afternoon, and I think that's a great visual to show everyone.
So this shows all 4 proficiency ranges. So you have does not meet, approaches, meets, and exceeds. And even though this is a second grade classroom and they don't take SC Ready, we still want to align that map data to the SC Ready data just so the teachers kind of have an idea. So our does not meet students, so we have the ranges for fall, winter, and spring. So you'll kind of see there's different colors in every range. So does not meet is red, approaches is yellow, meets is green, and exceeds is blue. So we charted all of their fall data, so you'll see fall and winter. So originally, we had all the reds here, yellow, green, and blue. And then when they reassessed in the winter for benchmark, we moved the kids. So as you can see, we still have a lot of kids here who need to grow, but we bumped up 4 of those kids from does not meet to approaches. We had some kids who moved out of approaches into meets and so on. So throughout the year, we just keep referring to this data, and then when we pull the reports, it'll tell us like specific instructional areas within math and reading, because it's not just enough to say, oh, they're low in math. So we need to actually drill down specifically to what instructional areas. Is it number sense? Is it algebraic thinking? Is it geometry? And then drill all the way down to the skill gaps that the students have.
Was this program handed down from this LEARNS program, or they just kind of say, hey, you need to create something internally that does this, this, and this?
There's a TAP model that are kind of the 4 components that we talked about, but the work that the master teachers do, some of this comes from their training with NIET and the coaching that we received there, but a lot of it comes from our master teachers that are experts in effective instruction.
So we're just meeting what the LEARNS program said that we needed to meet. It wasn't, they weren't handing down this program saying, implement this.
No, they weren't saying, here's a thing to do and now implement this. No.
Yeah, I want to make sure I understand too. So we've got the master teacher who is working with classroom teachers.
Correct.
To help with the students and, you know, so it's multifaceted. I mean, ultimately the goal here is to move the kids into an acceptable category where they're learning and the numbers are going up. Now, did I understand too, there's times where you can see a master teacher in the classroom teaching kids?
Yes.
Correct. So this slide I can show you right now is part of that. So this is a experienced teacher, pretty highly effective teacher, 8th grade English language arts last year in 23-24 from her fall data, where she started with her students at the beginning of the year. You kind of see it's the bottom left. You'll see in a minute. And then in the winter, they went up and the amount of growth in that classroom, they were 69th percentile in the nation for the amount of growth in the classroom last school year without the support. This year, she has a master teacher that spends time co-teaching in the classroom, modeling for her, mentoring, coaching, And this year, they were 82nd percentile in the country for growth between the fall and the winter. So it's not just our newer teachers, which the previous slide, the evaluation piece I showed you was a newer teacher. It also is showing some significant results with our veteran effective teachers. It's just making them even better.
How many master teachers do we have?
We have 18 master teachers.
18.
18 throughout the 9 schools, yes.
So part of that co-teaching model too, before cluster, is that we go first. So whatever we're asking the teachers to do, we need to go into the classrooms to do a couple weeks prior so that we can test out how things are gonna go, such as implementing a strategy, like a student thinking strategy. We would go into a classroom first, try it out, work all those kinks out before presenting it to teachers, and then that builds our credibility and trust with teachers because they know it works in this school and it works in this classroom because I've done it ahead of time and I have the data to support it.
So, we've got 18 master teachers. How has it affected them with this grant being taken away from us? Do we still have them?
So this happened last Tuesday. We currently still have our master teachers. They are continuing to work right now. That's part of the reason we're here today, to find out how much longer we're having them. I was sitting in ILT this afternoon with my Ford ILT, raise your hands. So there's master teachers, administrators. We all sit together and design this, and at that time I was also getting texts from Hickory Taverns, ILT, raise your hand if you're Hickory Taverns, ILT, along with Kelsey. They were all meeting this afternoon. We're not stopping because this is what's right for kids. And so we're gonna continue to do it till somebody tells us we can't. So.
All right, so as you can see, the loss of these structures are gonna only deepen the existing challenges that we have right now in education, such as low teacher capacity, the increasing reliance on alternative pathways, and the growing number of uncertified teachers in the classroom. Without the structured professional development and support that the instructional leadership team provides, our ability to equip teachers, especially those new to the profession who continue to leave the profession because they don't feel supported, with the skills and strategies needed for effective instruction will be significantly diminished. These structures have been critical in building teacher capacity, strengthening instructional practices, and ensuring that all students receive a high-quality education regardless of their teacher certification pathway. Without this framework, there is a risk of widening achievement gaps, increasing teacher burnout, and ultimately weakening the overall effectiveness of our schools.
Do all the schools have a master teacher, all schools?
Yes, they do. All 9 of our schools. We also have some quotes that you can look at later if you'd like. We have first-year teachers and the impact that it's had on them to have this kind of support. We have some quotes from teachers that have come from another district, and now they understand things better as a result of being here and working with our master teachers and through our LEARNS grant, as well as a newer teacher that's been a couple years in, and what the difference is between now and what it used to be when she first started, and the kind of support that she's receiving. So
I'm going to ask a question. If we took the option of funding what we've lost, figure out how to fund it, would you keep the LEARNS program in place, or would you want to consider putting those 18 teachers back in the classroom and changing that up? Because I know we implemented LEARNS with this master teacher program. That was the motivation behind it. Now that we're 2 years into, well,
1.5.
1.5 into it, my question, and it looks like the numbers are showing that we've seen improvements here, but at the same time, we're facing a budgetary crunch, and the community's going to be asking, where's the best place to spend the money? Is it to put teachers back in the classroom or maintain the same structure that we've had for the last year and a half?
And I'll address some of that whenever we wrap up, as in kind of the plan and kind of the thought process. But I mean, if you want to go ahead and.
Yeah, I think as the Director of Accountability and responsible for school improvement, this is going to give us much more bang for our buck than a lot of other intervention type things that we're doing. So however much of this we can continue is going to be essential if we want it to continue the momentum moving forward to transition and transform the district into a higher achieving district. We spent the day as a district leadership team identifying the key components that we feel are essential for us to maintain. And then we'll be working with the schools to do the same thing so that we can start to take a look at if our challenge is not granted, which I'll get to that as soon as Kelsey's done. If we don't get the challenge, then we'll have to decide what things are we to keep, what aren't we going to keep because we can't. So we'll get there.
So basically, we found something that's worked.
Yes.
And we're going forward. And now the money's gone.
Correct.
Correct.
Jody, how much money do we have to find?
The amount that we need to finish out the year is $795,000.
For these teachers.
Oh.
I have a couple of questions, but I want Ms. Brownfield to finish before. You could have waited, Jody, to say that.
Sorry.
first.
That's okay. All right, so I just want to close by giving you a personal reflection on why this means so much to me. I am a proud product of this district. I have worked in this district for 12 years, and I have children in this district, so this means a lot to me. And I feel a huge sense of personal responsibility and thankful that I got to represent our district through NIET at the national level. So this is deeply personal for me. I feel a profound sense of responsibility that we sustain the momentum that we've built and continue strengthening classrooms. This isn't just about policy or funding, it's about the future of our students and our teachers and our community. And I want to see our district thrive, not just for my own children, but for every child who comes through the doors. So thank you for your time and consideration, and I appreciate your ongoing support of students and teachers in our district, and I look forward to continuing that success together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Brown.
You represented the master teacher very well.
She did.
Thank you
That's
for
why I let her
bringing
talk.
the chart,
Sir,
and
name
thank you
again?
for explaining that to the full board.
That's our name.
I know the numbers that you've presented with us. One, I know this, you just found out. You've just had to scramble to gather information because, you know, a week ago, you didn't know you would have to be defending the program tonight. The fair evaluations that you've listed for teachers and the student achievement that you've listed, I know you've just had to pull a snapshot, but overall, are you seeing the needle move in this upward direction throughout the district?
We are. We have, we used to talk about pockets of excellence. It's not pockets anymore. It's huge chunks. Buildings, we identified buildings today that we need to go back to and find out what are the key components for them that they can't afford to lose. So we are seeing a big difference. One piece, and Dr. Penland mentioned it early on in the meeting, that under the direction of Wendy Burgess and the teaching and learning team, we have been out doing walkthroughs, and we are seeing the difference when we go into the classrooms. We're able to document the actual observations and see how things are different than what they were prior to implementing this grant, so in this program. So we are seeing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I know, do you want me to talk about the last slide, or do we want to talk about that after, what we'll do?
Well, go ahead and talk about, we're in a situation of where we can submit the challenge, submit the appeal, and so the components of the challenge and the appeal, Amanda will go through in just a minute, but this is something that most strikes of the funding at the federal level don't have an appeal process. So we know we're very much headed toward the appeal. We have reached out to multiple legislators. We've had a call back from Senator Tim Scott's office, have reached out to Lindsey Graham's office, have spoken with Ellen Weaver, and have different workings in the way we're going to meet with Sherry Biggs's office on Thursday. And so we're reaching out to our federal representatives to really look to see if there's options for us to keep the money as we move forward. So Amanda, if you'll go on through the kind of the basis of our challenge.
Right. So if you recall, towards the beginning, As to why the grant was identified, we have a statement in our grant. Every grant, when you apply for a grant, has preference priorities. And if you don't meet preference priorities, then you don't get the grant, right? So a line in our grant is LEARNS will support making classroom teaching the driving focus of the district's efforts to create schools where equity, diversity, and inclusion are embedded in the school culture. Competitive preference priority 1 and 2. I can't argue that, as you heard Ms. Wormley today, we accept every child that walks through the classroom and walks through the doors of our schools, and we will continue to do so. We will look at every child individually and determine what they need and help provide that to them, whether it's academics or whether it's student support, as Dr. Littlejohn spoke about earlier in our meeting, to make sure that when they walk across that stage, they have an equal opportunity to be successful in life. And then we include everybody in all activities, regardless of their race, their color, or their disability. So we can't argue that, but the three things that we can look at are our department priorities: merit, fairness, and excellence in education. And so the department notified us in this letter that those are their 3 primary priorities. So performance-based compensation is merit. That's what they're talking about. Our performance-based compensation is based on how people perform in the classroom as well as how their students perform on assessments. The evaluation process is fairness for everybody because everybody is receiving the same evaluation process, cycle, and we are using the same rubric, and everybody has been trained to implement that effectively. And then, of course, excellence in education. We are improving student achievement. We've seen pieces of that already, as well as educator coaching is a research-based strategy for improving education, and we've seen that as well in some of our data. So those are going to be that'll be the focus of our challenge, and hopefully we'll be successful with that.
And I just kind of want to wrap it up with, over the past several, probably decades, we've had instructional coaches. We've had people in our buildings that have supported our teachers. But the structure that we have right now finally aligns what we do in cluster, how we have provided information and instruction and evaluation and support around our NIET and South Carolina 4.0 rubric. So all the components are finally now in line. So we now have multiple supports for this. We don't have teachers over here doing clusters and getting a little PD. We don't have somebody coming in and doing evaluation over here that doesn't align with what we're training them in the building. And so you don't have all these different pockets of nothing kind of blending together. So we now finally have, through this grant, a system that we know that will continue no matter what, but it's the components of how much support we can still provide in the schools. So principals are able to align their evaluations with the support given to them during their cluster meetings. The support that teachers get not only helps them make improvements on strategies and techniques in the classroom, which you've heard, but in turn increases the student effectiveness and also their evaluation. So it's not only helping our kids, but it's helping our teachers with their evaluation. We finally have that true system that intertwines the support for teachers, cluster meetings, instruction, evaluation, district instructional leadership teams, and school-based instructional leadership teams. Sorry, tongue-tied. I do have a quote that I want to pull from one of the master teachers. I have not spotted her today, but I think she's here. It says, "Cluster has become a safe place, a place for teachers to fail, to be transparent, to do hard things, to have hard conversations with leadership. I have seen firsthand how teachers have jumped in with both feet, and it's impacting their students in major ways." So I come today asking that that you as a board allow us to continue funding this program through the remainder of the year and allow us through the budget cycle to figure out how to continue this for next year. This is something that will cost us just shy of $800,000. Salaries are around $500,000 with the benefits on top of that, and the stipends brings us right at $795,000. So looking at that as we move forward, that's the request, since it is such a heavy hit to the budget that I feel like that we have to have, board action approval, knowing that we still have a chance to receive the funding back from the feds. I would hate to axe a program right now, and then in 2 months, they say, oh, you get to keep it. That is really our desire to figure out a way to make this happen the remainder of the year, and then allow us through our budget structures and processing to keep the structure as we move forward.
So our, our budget was already over.
That's correct.
Where would this put us for our fund balance and being still in a good position with the state for the remainder of this year?
Yeah, the general fund balance at the end of 6/30 was $6,510,000, which represented about 11% of our 2024-25 budget. 11% is well above the 8% that is required or that is recommended by the state to have in your fund balance, basically a month's worth of expenditures there. So that would, after this hit, if we do have the 650 from the original budget, the 800 with this, that would put us about 8.5% going forward for next year, still with at least a month's month's budget as we move forward. That does not include the 1.5 million for performance-based compensation.
That's just to keep
The 18.
18 teachers, yeah.
That is correct. And we've had discussions in our DILT, and we'll continue to have those discussions. Is this expenditure worth not having these people? Or is this purchase worth this? Is this worth, really looking at, we've already been living lean this year anyway, really making those choices and decisions of how we move forward, but we'll continue to be lean and look to see how we can be leaner next year, continuing to support what happens in the classroom, because that's what matters whenever we're looking at making that student achievement available for our kids, has to be the change in the teachers.
Jody, if we get to the end of the year, if we bail water and keep the ship afloat, are there other grants we can go after that would help us pay for this in the coming years, or?
What we've looked at doing is we have other federal kind of grants, which would be kind of our entitlement grants. Really looking to see what our plan would be, shifting expenditures from there, cutting other positions, however we can make it happen, that's what we're willing to look at. Decisions have not been made because, like we said, we're 6 days from the notification. And so we've got several things kind of rolling around in our head as options, but we do know that the structure and the system that's in place is truly what's making a difference in our buildings right now.
But right now, we're trying to get to the end of the year.
Trying to get to the end of the year,
And
and
then
then
we'll
we'll
go
start the
from
budget.
there.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully get the grant back.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any additional questions, comments? Okay. So, in order to move forward, Dr. Penland obviously is asking us for an adjustment in our budget to approve the $800,000 to maintain the LEARNS program with the master teachers from now through the end of the year. So if that is something that someone would like to make a motion on?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we add the $800,000 needed to fund the LEARNS program to the end of this school year. And hopefully with the hope and prayer that we get the grant reinstated. But I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of approving an additional $800,000 for our budget to fund the LEARNS program through the end of this school year, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
I would just like to thank you.
Thank you.
Ken, go to your office, start crunching numbers.
Jim's like, what? Well, I'll say this. Can I?
Sure.
You can.
The Department of Education does have tools that are available that they use when they actually go into assist, they're in the physical practices section of the Department of Ed. And I can reach out to them, and we can try to use those as planning tools for what comes after if we're not successful with ESU.
Well, I think any tool you can get your hands on, we need to implement, since we need to find, what, 1.8 million by
any grant
next
that
year.
you want.
1.4.
Oh, excuse me, 1.4.
1.4, yes. So again, thank you.
Don't say that slower. Sounds better if you say it slower.
Sorry.
Again, thank you so much for the commitment that you have to our students, but also the staff that's put in tirelessly the effort and the work to get this to where we are. So thank you again.
Absolutely.
For those that were able to come tonight, thank y'all for being here.
Yes, thank you for being here.
Your commitment and to this program. That's always my big question. Is it working? And you being here was a clear sign to me that y'all believe in this. So.
I almost asked the master teachers to stand up, but I didn't want to put that kind of pressure.
But, yeah, well, Master. Figure out something to do next year. So,
And come more often.
Yeah, because we need you to help us find money.
I did see my quote now. I didn't see it at first, but I hear you. Yeah.
Well, with that, I think we're finished with the finance and operations part of the meeting, and we're on to public participation, which I don't think we had anyone sign up. So at this point,
Oh, go ahead.
we do need a motion to move in executive session, so don't
That's
try
what I
to
was
adjourn
doing.
us,
I'll make a
Mike.
motion, we enter executive session.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're gonna move into executive session for a bit.
And everybody that's here, if you don't stay, thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you
I
for
appreciate y'all.
We do have action to take. We have a list A and B for contract recommendations for the 24-25 school year.
Sorry.
Are these new?
25,
26.
26.
Okay, one's right. All right, so
I make a motion.
25-26 school year.
I make a motion, we, accept the contracts for 25-26 school year.
I
A,
second.
list A and B.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the recommended contracts for certified contracts for 25-26 school year, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. And with no further business on our agenda, we are adjourned.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.